He was abandoned on the street, and when everything seemed lost, this happened. Everyone deserves a family. No one should be written off if they have special needs just because it's going to be hard. In the community of families who have chosen to adopt, it's not uncommon for a parent to see a photo of an orphan and think, that's my kid. Tennessee mom Priscilla Morse knows this for a fact. It's happened to her 3 times. Priscilla Morse flew halfway across the world last year to adopt a 7-year-old special needs boy after seeing a heartbreaking photo of the skeletal orphan on Facebook. When Mrs. Morse arrived at the Bulgarian orphanage to finalize her son Ryan's adoption, he weighed just 7 pounds and was on the brink of death. But after more than a year with his new family in Tennessee, Ryan is gaining weight and starting to speak. In photos taken of him this month, Ryan looks almost nothing like the malnourished child that had to be rushed to the hospital as soon as he arrived in the US. In the photos, Ryan's bones are no longer visible through his skin, and he smiles like any happy and healthy young boy. Mrs. Morse tells DailyMail.com that she first learned about Ryan when she was scrolling through her Facebook in June 2014 and saw his picture on an adoption page. She and her husband David quickly decided that they wanted to adopt the boy. The couple have 2 biological sons of their own, 13-year-old Dylan and 7-year-old Jack, and a 7-year-old daughter Mackenzie, whom they adopted from Russia in 2012. Like her brother Ryan, Mackenzie also has special needs. She has Down syndrome and congenital heart defect. At the end of October 2015, Mrs. Morse flew out to Bulgaria to finalize Ryan's adoption. At that point, he was 7 years old and weighed just 8 pounds. He was covered in hair too, a sign that his body was in a last-ditch effort to save his life by keeping him warm. She says she feared that he would die before she could finish all the paperwork. The first meeting was pretty scary, Mrs. Morse told Inside Edition. He was bones and skin, and he literally looked like a skeleton. The first thing that went through my head was he's gonna die. So as soon as she landed with Ryan back in the US in November, she rushed him to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, where doctors immediately put the boy on a feeding tube. I'd never in my life seen doctors look at a child and burst into tears, she said. They did call social services. They said, I'm sorry, he's probably going to die. Ryan spent the first 2 weeks in America at the hospital before being discharged. He was then readmitted shortly afterwards and stayed for an additional month. But since then, he's been going from strength to strength. Photos of him over the past year show Ryan gradually gaining weight, losing the malnutrition hair, and gaining color back to his skin and lips. As of today, he weighs 23 pounds, is beginning to babble like a baby and move on his own. The Morses have also been able to enroll him in public school, where his progress will continue with a special needs teacher. His progress has been nothing short of a miracle in my opinion. The first time I saw him, I couldn't even formulate a sentence. I was convinced he would die before I got him home, and now he's a happy, giggly, active boy, Mrs. Morse told DailyMail.com. Since bringing him home, the Morses have learned that Ryan has cerebral palsy, microcephaly, scoliosis, club feet, and dwarfism, which accounts for his small size. Doctors say it may take years for him to fully recover from the special needs he may have developed in the orphanage, and they still don't know how much he will grow or how well he'll be able to speak. But the Morses are patient and positive that Ryan will continue to improve. Mrs. Morse was adopted herself and had a special needs older brother who died at 9 years old. She says she's been inspired to adopt special needs children herself because of how much her parents loved her brother. I was pretty young when he passed away, but I remember how much my parents loved him in spite of all his special needs, she said. I wanted to give that to a child that was given up because of his special needs. Everyone is deserving of a family. In the 4 years since Ryan has been with his family, he's gained weight through the help of a feeding tube, graduating from swimming in newborn sizes in 2015 to fitting into a child size 5'6" today. Ryan has also had surgery to repair his clubbed feet and was in halo traction for 7 weeks to prep for surgery for rod placement for his scoliosis. The 11-year-old is also making gains with speech and communication and has full range of motion in his hands. Moore says her son's doctors and therapists are hopeful that he will continue to thrive and reach his full potential. He's able to sit independently for longer periods of time, and he can roll independently and gets on his arms and knees and rocks and attempts to crawl, said Morse. While he most likely will never walk independently due to the severity of his cerebral palsy, he's making great strides towards gaining some level of physical independence. It's going to be a long progress, Morse added. 7 years of neglect can't be undone in a day. Morse says adopting children with special needs has its challenges, but she feels blessed every day to be able to share her life with her biological sons Dylan, 16, Jack, 10, Will, 19 months, and her adopted children. Gigi, who has hydrocephalus, epilepsy, and autism, was adopted from Ukraine in December 2017 when she was 3 years old and will celebrate her 6th birthday next month.